If you asked me what my favorite game was, I'm sure I could give you not one, but probably several answers right off the top of my head. But if you asked me what my favorite childhood game was, that would be a little bit more complicated. And as a kid, I've loved many titles from the original Killzone, Ratchet and Clank, Gears of War, and even Halo. You see, my parents had fled Bosnia to escape the fall of Yugoslavia, so that meant we hardly had anything to our name. My aunts and uncles grew up in the States, much like myself, as they were still pretty young, and my uncles loved to spend a lot of time with me, introducing me to a lot of the games I've come to know and love. Except there was one small issue. I didn't have Xbox Gold, which meant I missed out on a lot of the fun that people my age were having.
I'm a pussy that use riot shield.
So a lot of that time was spent either playing the lobbies with bots or just exploring the empty maps. But aside from a console, I also had this shitty little HP pavilion, but it's where I would spend a lot of my time. I watched a lot of my favorite YouTubers, played on websites like Cool Buddy and Armor Games, and aside from the Xbox, Flash games were, I'd say, it probably peaked. I'd be playing games like SAS 3, Raze 2, Strike Force Heroes, and Happy Wheels with my friends on the school computers when we had free time. But one game stands alone in my mind as one that I'll probably carry to my deathbed. When I discovered Plasma Burst 2, it was more than just a Flash game. It quickly became all I felt like playing when I had free time from school, and what made it easy is this game has its own website, complete with a forum, players section, a community chat hub. Hell, your profile could even be customized alongside giving you a KDA if you're into flashing that around. You can also tell how old the site is because there's a spot where you can put your Skype name. But the best part of it all is that this game is free and could run on my computer because it was like in browser, except it's not anymore because Flash Player, much like Skype, is in the ground.
Yeah, I think about it every time I hit the hookah.
So for this video, I will not be covering multiplayer, mostly because when I logged on, the game was, well, as you'd expect, dead. But over 1 million players having registered is an insane number though. But I want you to take my word for it, as I'm sure many can attest to this. This game had one of the most fun online communities to be part of, and the fact that players could make their own levels and game modes opened so many doors. I remember playing things like Death Run, Hide and Seek. People even remade Call of Duty Zombies in this, and I have not, and don't think I will ever find anything like it again. Also, as a little side note, if any footage in the game looks like the game wasn't running too well, that's because it wasn't. I tried tweaking my settings, but I don't know. I guess it was just probably too many particles on screen or something for the launcher or the app to really handle it. Now, before I get into the story of Plasma Burst 2, I'll give you a quick rundown of the first game, Plasma Burst Forward to the Past. Humanity as a whole almost went extinct, and our protagonist, known as the Marine, was supposed to be sent into the past alongside another soldier, but they ended up off course onto Mars and separated from each other. Your first enemy in this game are other humans, and we'll be fighting through quite a few of them before we start encountering the real enemy, the Falkics. After fighting your way through a few of them, you finally meet up with the man who was sent in with us to clean up this mess. From here on, we have who is known as Noir Lime to aid us in fighting our way to the transport that we'll be using to get back to Earth. Sporting what looks to be a futuristic grease gun that was also probably one of the most fun guns I've gotten to use in a game. Actually, it's really the only weapon he uses, like aside from grenades. After fighting your way through the opposing forces, Noir gets injured by a mech at the end of the level and requests that we leave him behind to take the shuttle to Earth. And that concludes the first game, as it really only had 16 levels and was really short if you played it the way I did. This leads up right into Plasma Burst 2, which has an insane jump from the first game in terms of style and gameplay. Everything is different. You can see the full arsenal of your weapons.
What the fuck?
Your armor is customizable. In addition to your armor being customizable, unlike the first game, there is no option to upgrade it. Light armor is set at a 500 health bar, while the heavy is set at 750, and I'm not gonna lie, I've always rocked the heavy gear because I just love how it looks. The health system no longer requires you to pick up health, and instead it regenerates. There's achievements, custom maps, cheats for when you beat the game, and where the first game only had 16, you have up to 42 levels you can play here. Movement is a lot more fluid. In fact, there's a ragdoll system and you can now slow down time. In addition to your new weapons, you also have a melee weapon called the Side Blades, which can deflect bullets if you're decent enough to use them. Another fun feature added into the game is this telekinetic ability, giving you the option of using your environment to help you out. The difficulty options range from easy to impossible, and I'd say play the game on easy or normal. Your first go. Hard and impossible are something you should go into after learning where the enemies are placed and maxing out your weapons. I say that because you'll see why as we go. The first game opens up with you landing onto Earth in a life capsule. And another thing I forgot to mention is the game also has a lighting system now, which doesn't do anything, it's just neat. Pulling up on the first base, after admiring these lovely JPEGs of rocks, you'll see two dead soldiers clad in yellow armor with blue visors, and our HUD recognized them as usurpation soldiers. And it looks like we arrived in the middle of the invasion with the usurpation forces storming the planet, and the civil security being the rallied remnants of humanity fighting back. It's clear where the game draws its visual style from. The main assault rifle you start out with looks a lot like the MA5B, and the civil security, no doubt, modeled after Spartans. But not everything in this game is sci-fi. In fact, the standard assault rifle of the civil security forces looks a lot like the XM8. You guys remember that gun, right? Their sidearm looks conventional compared to the starting pistol the player gets, and their shotguns too. It's clear the gear we get has an edge over theirs. Where they had to lug around this giant tube, we get this handheld one about the size of our pistol. But just because they're human doesn't mean they're exactly our allies. Just before finishing out the level, you see two usurpation soldiers hiding out in what looks like a sewer, with two more storming in, probably their backup forces. Pushing forward, the second level shows a base occupied entirely by usurpers, likely having taken over the base and then sending the other two that we killed earlier. We also get another look at some of the new features of Plazmaverse 2. There's wall jumping, you can even swim. And a fun thing with this game, much like the first, is on lower difficulties, if the enemies accidentally shoot each other, it will turn the entire ground into a free-for-all, and it will focus on killing each other and then focus on killing you. Now, going through, I won't cover every single level, because some of it really is as simple as push through, shoot things, and leave. But every other level has something new it introduces, which, in my opinion, keeps the game fresh. The third level in is much the same, but here is where you'll get your hands on the rocket launcher. It's one of the most commonly used weapons in the game, but starting out this video, I don't remember when I did. I downloaded the game a while back and played through half of it, already giving myself the entire kit of weapons. Level 4 is where the fun starts to take place. This game shows off a lot of the cool stuff it has in store. The civil security have a walker which two aliens are fucking running for their life from. It's clear the force they brought with them was to retake the base they lost, and the outpost we see now likely having been reclaimed. It's nice to see that despite the aliens having gained ground on Earth, humanity is making them work for it. Oh, and in addition to water, we now have acid too, so that's cool, I guess. A mechanic I find interesting is some enemies won't be outright killed. Some of them will enter a dying state, and if they held onto their weapon, they'll gladly use them against you in their dying breath if it means taking you with them. This is where the defibrillator is introduced. You can make them watch in terror as you pull it up and use it on them, which was like Chinese water torture in the multiplayer mode, only second to body breaking so your team couldn't revive you. I love that a lot of these levels have special touches to them. Like level 6 for example, you can find a cell block and inside are two civil security prisoners, and if you release them, they'll fight with you. Now what they did is up to interpretation, but when the whole world is going under and the people you fight with can only make so much progress, you can't exactly blame people for starting to lose it. Oh, and this is the level where you also encounter the grenade launcher. Some of these weapons you can't use. Level 7 introduces a new enemy type. Androids.
I'm the android sent by...
specifically the SLC-56, and these mouthy clankers sport railguns, and they're, I think, one of the fastest units in the game. There's not much to say about them, except Level 8 introduces a new variant of android, the TO-1187, which sounds kinda catchy, alongside a heavy variant of the railgun. Now, you can't use it, not as the main character anyway. I will say, this thing is no joke and it will lay your ass out flat. I love the ragdolls in this game, but they don't just apply to corpses. You see, the small problem with it is, if you get hit by anything that explodes, excessive bullets, or one of these railgun rounds, there's a solid chance you're gonna get propelled backwards. Now, this doesn't sound so bad. But now imagine if the enemy all have these weapons, which is unfortunately the case for a good bit of the game, which is why I recommend playing it on easy your first go. I'm not saying you'll suck. I love the game, but a lot of what you encounter is gonna suck. In fact, I hardly have any issues with this game at all. But sometimes the enemy placements with the weapons they have start to wear at you, and one of the biggest hurdles you'll encounter is getting thrown around and sometimes killed by getting propelled into the wall or ground, or pinned there and shot to death. It may be because I wore heavy armor through the game, but I suffered through a good bit of this. Oh, and side note, level 7 introduces the CS Bloom. Now this room would have a trap that would spring if you pick it up, but you can also just use your ability to pull it out of the room and not suffer any danger. Pushing forward into level 12, you'll encounter the civil security boss, and they're some tanky fellas. Not only that, half of what you carry in your arsenal is open to them too. Some of the most dangerous weapons in their kit being the heavy railgun, the rocket launcher, and the CSBNG. And I don't think it's used all too often outside the levels where the enemies have them, but the Bloom is nothing to sleep on. This thing can start punching through entire groups of enemies. You might think that you can also give these guys the slip, but you can't leave the area until you've killed both, as a door will open for each one you kill. Level 14 gives you a look into what I can only assume to be the usurpation base. It's still on Earth, you can tell when you make it through, but this is where you get hit with a new enemy, the usurpation major. The first one you lay eyes on is unarmed, but there's several corpses littered around him, giving you the idea of just how capable one is. Except we're the main character, so get fucking bent. To progress further, you need to activate 2 buttons, but between you and those are 2 groups of majors that teleport to your area on either side. And fighting both sides for a while, no doubt, has shown them how much of a threat you are, and it looks like the usurpers aren't taking any chances with you. Unlike civil security, the usurpers have an almost endless number to throw at you. Every life of the civil security that you've taken is only adding to their innumerable death toll that humanity has suffered, and there's no telling just how many of them are left. The levels through the usurpation base are interesting, some spots a little more irritating to play through than others, though not all that different from a lot of the levels we've already played through. We do get to see what it's like through the alien base, and it's noticeably darker than a lot of the civil security areas, making me wonder if they're more accustomed to the darkness back on their planet. Now, level 17 introduces you to the Destroyer unit, and these fellas rock the BNG. Unlike their major, minor, and advanced soldiers, the Destroyers have green blood, which makes me wonder if they're an entirely separate species, or some subgroup of the main one that we do fight. They're a unit that you do want to be careful with, because those launchers are going to throw you around, and unlike a lot of the other units, these guys are not afraid to rush you. Level 18 opens up with us making our way out. Commandeering a walker, we see several civil security forces outside, and no doubt with several walkers present and boss units in the area, they knew what would be inside, but they didn't expect you to already clear it out and make your way out there. They even brought a car with them. I swear, I need to see a fan animation of the Marine just pulling a Doom guy, clearing out the base and rushing out to fuck everyone up. Now, level 20 is a little strange, but also kinda cool. When you drop down and carry on like usual, the game will give you a prompt for the defib, and when you hit the button to open the door, a clone of you will come out of the teleporter, and you can switch between yourself and the clone who's gonna fight alongside you. But there is a plot twist. Because the opening to the next level will start with you having your back turned to your clone, and he will take this opportunity to take a shot at you. It's important to give yourself as much distance between you and the clone, or try to take cover right away, because this fucker's gonna pull out the most dangerous weapons from your arsenal and use them on you immediately, shredding your health. And after taking care of him, more are gonna start to spawn, and confirmed by the game's developer, it turns out these were never clones of you. The civil security picked volunteers after making copies of your armor and your weapons, and they sent them to act alongside you before being given the command to kill you. I actually love it when games do something like this. I still have a little bit of PTSD left over from Trepang 2 when you fight the clones in the oil rig. Something about being forced to go toe-to-toe with what looks like yourself is pretty haunting. Level 25 is where things start to get a little spooky. Here you'll encounter the civil security ghosts, and clad in black and green, and I know it looks simple because they're 2D models, these motherfuckers look fly as hell. They got some style to them. Not only that, but they turn invisible. The ones in the room with you don't have any guns, but that doesn't mean they aren't a threat. It looks like some usurpers tried their luck, but they didn't really get all that far. It's better if you try and clear the room from a distance, as I would not recommend trying to duel them. But once you open that door, they are stacked up and rocking shotguns, which the main character can't use that variant of it. Level 30 is where we shake things up a bit. This level introduces our second protagonist, Proxy, and judging by her design, it's hard to say if she used to be civil security or is part of another group entirely, but according to the dialogue, she's been a pain in the ass for them. The level opening up with her in one of their bases already causing havoc and clearing out the personnel. I've been used to running the heavy armor, and it was a whole nother world getting to play a character limited to just light. I've never felt this nimble, but I also had to be careful, because you start unarmed, and getting away from the civil security, I kinda blew over like a skinny person caught in a breeze and jumped. She is a bit chatty. But that also makes sense because this is like a game from 2011.
Marcus! He's gone!
Her kit is actually kind of limited. Your usual weapon selection is almost cut in half, but this comes with the trait of her being able to use some weapons like the CS shotgun, the heavy railgun, and later in the game a virus gun. The next level in opens with the civil security trying to hold out from usurpation forces. Both 30 and 31 are interesting because for the first time in the game we see not just the enemies but one of our characters speak. You can see how committed the security are to wiping out the usurpers rather than being killed than ever surrendering, with one of them hating the aliens for more reasons than one. There's not much to note aside from a lot of the levels where you play as Proxy, but this is kind of where I come up on, I think, one of my most hated levels in the entire game. Remember when I talked about a couple of my issues with the game being that entire enemy groups could carry some of the game's most dangerous guns, and in combination with the ragdoll system, it would suck out the fun? I'm gonna be completely honest here. I had a little bit of frustration building up, especially because of level 32. This entire area had pits that would kill you if you fell into them, and what made it worse was that enemies had rocket launchers, so you'd kind of just be getting thrown around. And it's funny, because the size of these kind of look like you can just wall jump your way out, but no, they would kill you instantly if you fell into them. So I sat there for a while just having the shootout into the dark, hoping I killed the enemies and played it super careful. I thought, honestly, that this was the part of the game that was going to be that part, you know? The one part any video game has that we all sit through and tough out. So imagine my surprise when I loaded into level 35, only to find out I wasn't going to be fighting anything. I thought, wow, this is my break. I get one level where I can just chill out for a bit. No. Instead, I run into a room and have a fucking keg of nitroglycerin bury my head into the ground and explode. And for almost 15 fucking minutes, I reloaded this level and was just killed on repeat. You know, a lot of the punishment you choose in games is voluntary. You can choose the difficulty. You can choose if the game prompts you to add a challenge in the middle of your game. Usually, if I'm getting my ass beat in a video game, like online, I could just log off and go do something else for the night.
Hey, disconnected.
I can't do that here, because I need to get through this level to progress. And to get through this level, you have to go to the end of the room on your right and hit a button. But getting halfway into the room drops a fuckload of canisters on your head that are just gonna kill you. I tried running out of the room, instead only getting propelled into the door and killed. I tried shooting them to set them off early, and still fucking died. I tried seeing if I could rattle them to set them off early, but you don't have the BNG to use its area of effect to try and fucking set them off. No, instead I sat there gambling repeatedly until one of the attempts didn't kill me. And when I finally got through that part, you know what else happened? Remember when I said there's at times where I feel like I'd get performance drops in this game and it didn't constantly run at a 60? So imagine how much fun I had when I tried to jump across. And this works, by the way. In fact, you can honestly sword jump to a lot of areas in the game, but for the split second that my frame did not register where I tried to jump, I fell into a pool of acid that just fucking killed me instantly. Why this one kills you instantly out of like most that you'll find in the game, I don't know why. And you know what I got to enjoy? I got to do this over and over and over again. There was no fighting in this entire level. It was just this. Maybe there is a strat to getting around it. Maybe there isn't. And you know what? I kind of don't care if there is. This is fucked up. I've never genuinely been upset with a video game before. Have I been irritated? Yeah. Have I found some things annoying? Oh yeah. But that's where I could always just change things around and go do something else. Except I can't do that here. I can look past literally anything else. All my other problems with this game just require me to like try something different. Except this. This is probably the most evil shit I've ever encountered in a video game. Like, I didn't know what the fuck I was supposed to be doing here. The game is great, don't get me wrong, but it was just like 15 minutes of watching my screen light up at 7 frames and then watching it stable out as my character gets like splattered. This could have been done differently. Maybe you run through and before a time limit hits 0, you're just like hitting buttons to deactivate explosives. Like that would have worked better than just walking into a room and getting blown up. But aside from that, the next level is just a holdout mission, which was kind of nice. It's really just hit a button and survive against the wave. And you gotta do this because it's necessary to shut off the laser system and progress. And after completing this, the story shifts back to your player character, except Proxy is with you. The Marine having gone through the same facility she had been making her way through. After a short conversation between the two in the middle of a firefight with the security and usurpation forces, the two team up and fight their way out. I think aside from like one line in the game where he says he's not saying goodbye, this is the first time in the entirety of the second game that we see our protagonist speak. We've seen Proxy messing with the civil security and a bit of banter from them too, but the Marine is quiet, not having spoken since he landed. And when he's questioned, he's direct and to the point. Although I think a little too welcoming, seeing that he was almost killed the last time he had someone watching his back. And further conversation between the two tells us a good bit of what we already know from the first game, and it looks like some people know of what went wrong. Proxy dropping that this game takes place somewhere 700 years in the future, maybe more. The Marine dropping the name of the organization he was sent by with Noir to fix the timeline. And level 40 finally introduces our boy. Somehow clinging at the end of his life, he finds a shuttle and he sets course for the facility with the time machine. And he rides that shit down like Master Chief. It also looks like he pack-a-punched his old SMG and turned that shit into a machine gun. And somehow he only makes himself more of a badass. Like, he even got a glow up. I gotta say, like, when I was a kid, I found it a little goofy, but I love the way that armor looks. Our crew wastes no time making it to the time machine while picking up a new gun on the way there. That little thing I talked about earlier, the virus gun. It shoots these little bugs that chase down anything, kind of reminding me of the Snarks from Half-Life. Now, the last 2 levels we come up on involve quite a bit of fighting. The Marine opting to head down to activate the time machine himself while fighting through corvettes. I actually think this is the last new enemy that's featured, and they're a far tankier variant of the drone. After fighting these off, your team rejoins you, and right before taking the plunge, Noir references the first game by saying "forward to the past." And that's where our story ends. For now, anyway. I actually took a look at the site when I remembered this game, and I shit you not, Plasma Burst 3 is in the beta. If you go to Eric Gert's Patreon page and you become a member, you can actually get access to the game. I never thought a Flash game, of all things, would come this far, and I'm not gonna lie to you and be all like, oh, well, if I get a break from my 9 to 5, I'll check it out. If I have time to sit on my ass, make this entire video, script, edit this all by myself, I have time to check it out when it drops. And I'm so excited to get to try out the third entry. Eric, you've played a major part in allowing me to enjoy games when I was a kid. The fact that these games are still free blows my mind. I honestly wish I knew how to give you a better thank you, but I hope at least making this video shows that, and I'm excited to see where this road with you leads, and I know that I'll be there to sink plenty of time into the new game, and I'm happy to see that you've continued the trend of making free games for other people to enjoy. However, if you thought that was the end of Plasma Burst 2, right after finishing the last level, there is one more. Here you'll be playing as one of the androids, and holy shit, you have to be careful to not kill yourself by flying into a wall. This guy moves fast as fuck, and he's armed with a heavy railgun, which kind of blows you back. This entire level is you having to hit 5 buttons to open your way out and escape alive. Now, I didn't find the ghosts all that hard playing as the Marine. I had 750 health and an entire arsenal. Here, I've never felt more fear in my life trying to survive something. Where they were easy to kill before, they will swarm you and eat you alive. And not only that, they do not stop spawning. You can kill as many as you want, but until you open those doors and leave, you are not safe. There's not much to it. It's a fun little mini game to play after the main campaign. And honestly, I think you can check out more custom maps like this throughout its custom section. There might be a page for it, for the IDs and all that. Well, that concludes today's video. I don't make videos like these all that often. I'm not really a long form creator, but I can't help but just share the games I love. And if I somehow sold this game to anyone out there, please be sure to check it out and give Eric some support over on his Patreon. I'll have it linked below as well as the video showcasing the gameplay. And I hope you fellas have a good one.